Hey guys, this is Atrophy here again, and I'm here for part 3 of Not Scary Farm's 40th haunt, 40th anniversary. so, so now let's get to the returning mazes, or the returning houses of Knott's, from Knott's this year. It's next. This one I will start on Delirium. It was returned for its second year, and of course, it's a sequel to to the past Asylum houses, where we get, it's of course inside the mind of one of the patients. The entrance to this attraction was, was pretty elaborate when you had to enter into the mouth of this monster or something. You pass through like the stomach of like this bloody, you know, monster. The opening scene features like enlarged animated eyes, teeth, claws reaching for you. It really draws you into the, dimensions. One we've encountered many disturbing scenes, including, people spewing cockroaches, monster flesh-eating maggots, bloody monsters hiding under beds, um, and even this house also features some of really interesting lighting effects and props. It was once again one of the great haunts. I love the whole nightmare dementia theme that gets it more progressed, more twisted as the house progressed. Um, and I know this will most likely be around for for a few years, and just hope like maybe they'll change it up and add more new scenes to it if they could. Um, Shout out to Daniel Miller for much kudos to Daniel Miller for creating this disturbing house. The next one is going to be Terror of London. Now, this had a good mix of monsters who are there to scare, and there's some who are just present, silly adding to the atmosphere of, the whole, thing. My favorite my favorite moment was has to be the outdoor graveyard. Countered like a new and loud scare in that here and there. Um, I really liked how they extended the brothel and the sewer scenes as well. The final scene when they switch from Dr. Frankenstein or it's Dr. Jekyll's laboratory for a dark and bloody torture chamber, which really fits with the scenes preceding ones. And I'm pretty sure. So I liked it, and it was cool. A great atmosphere of of course Jack the Ripper theme. The next one I'm going to get to is Uncle Willy's Slaughterhouse. Anyways, so yeah, Uncle Willy's Slaughterhouse. Now, from back at last year, it wasn't that good from as it was from that year because nobody was in Slaughterhouse. But this year, they redesigned the layout, they improved the lighting effects and props, bringing real life victims, more real life victims for that's for sure. Um, was totally redesigned, even though it's shorter than it was before. It was a really good improvement, big improvement on an old theme. Um, and the and also it had a much darker tone. And although the opening scene was in the diner was a bit comical, um, the they end there. Inside the slaughterhouse portion of the house, the sets are really much menacing than in previous years, and the monsters were able to scare us many times. So I believe this is one of this house was one of the highlights of of that night, and I just really liked it. And if you didn't like Slaughterhouse, then from the previous years, I would just recommend a visit. Just give this one a try. You will not be disappointed. Next one is going to be uh, Dia De Los Muertos in 3D. Now I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much it changed a bit for this year, although they're not very major. They did have some street scenes, which did have a more enclosed feeling. But unfortunately, the monsters were once again, either absent or they weren't, scaring much. Nothing much has improved. I mean, of course, this is one of the least favorite mazes of, haunt among, most fans. The colors were interesting, and there are some cool looking scenes like the church graveyard, the Amazon jungle, and the Aztec sacrifice temple. However, there's just something about this maze that prevents the monsters from ever really scaring anyone. I just hope the dead can rest for next year, and something new can take the place of this house. I mean, they could have brought back Malice in Wonderland if they had to. Probably they could have, brought it back and reamped it, just like they did with Dominion of the Dead. But oh well. What can we do? The next one is gonna be Uncle Bobo's Big Top of the Bazaar. Now I gotta say this maze was pretty wacky. It was a pretty wacky clown maze, and you know it had grown from being bright to for over the years it had a bright color and that feel to it, but it has progressed from over years. It progressed from being bright to actually much darker, and I guess that's the best way to go if especially in Knott standards when you're being a competitor in the haunt market in Southern California. It was pretty wacky again, and there's not much to say about it because, but it was cool. It was cool, and to see some of my monster friends in there. It was great seeing them there. My shout out to to Emily Rivas. Be sure to check out her channel. Great seeing her in there. And so yeah, and I hope hopefully for next year that since Uncle Bo was packing up his big top and moving on to a next town, maybe they should replace that with a freak show type of house. Just imagine that. So much new dimension to the carnival scare zone. Just imagine that. Now the next one I'm gonna be going to later in the next video will be Virus Z, Fallout Shelter, Endgames, and Endgames. See you then.